Before we get started on this video, I just want to say thank you. I did get a notification earlier today that I've got 2.7 million views on YouTube since I started in 2018. And I'm pretty excited about that. We've got 8,800 subscribers, and that has allowed me to branch out and actually try some things that I've never tried before. And you can see this project here. If this project is why you're here, check out the playlist and keep following, because there's more to come. I've got another project coming. I've actually got a project sitting in the driveway, another project coming. So we have plenty of content to keep growing, and I'll keep growing as a content creator, as a fabricator, as a car builder. So I just want to say thanks for watching, and thanks for your support, even if it's a watch, a follow, comment, like, subscribe. I don't want to ask anybody to subscribe if this isn't their cup of tea. But again, I just want to say thank you. We'll jump into the video now. Here you can see I've got the emergency brake lines removed. Obviously I've got the drums removed, and we are ready to start doing some fabrication. So I do have a C-notch kit here, and to get prepared for that, I'm going to be removing the bump stop. So because there's nothing on this frame, and I will have it supported here, there, and here, I will just be cutting the frame just above this weld. That'll all be cut out anyway once we get the C-notch in place. So that's what I'm going to do right now. The next thing I will be doing is probably removing this cross member so that I can put a piece of plate in to box in the frame. And I'm not exactly sure how far that's going to go, but that will be so I can mount the 4-link to that. So without further ado, I will get started, and we're probably going to do a time lapse on most of this. It's pretty basic, and you'll see it in the time lapse. I'm going to use a cutoff wheel on a grinder to cut these off. So unfortunately, this is not my day job. This is my evening job. So you guys can probably relate. It's taken a while to get to where we are. And if you haven't followed along, feel free to look in the description below or at the channel and look at the playlist on the Ranchero. The next step that I want to take is getting the rear end a little bit higher, so that we can set it down and try to find a good ride height. And then we can set the 4-link, the bars on the 4-link. And to do that, we have to do some boxing of the frame. So in the next video, later, what we're going to do is get a template of the inside of the frame and make some material to box it in, so that we have a place to mount the mount for the lower bar and the upper bar. As you can see here, I have cut out the bump stops. I marked the center of the top of the frame. So the frame is level. I put a plumb bob here, marked my line, marked here. Our pinion angle is still as it was before I started fooling with this. One thing I did notice is the way the axle is sitting, we are about just under ½ of an inch forward of the other side. And I measured it off of here, so from the edge of this hole to the line, And then I also referenced the back of the frame to this line, and we're off just a little bit. The other side is exactly 36 inches from the back of the frame. One thing that I'm doing here is verifying, one, the wheelbase, and two, that we're square. So here you can see I've got the plumb bob, and we've got the tape measure here, and we were shooting for 109.5. And here on the front, I mean, this isn't perfect. Somewhere in this vicinity, and 109.5. I mean, we're really close. So now on the other side, I'm going to get set up the same way and just check the wheelbase. What I'm hoping for is that we're going to be a little on the heavy side, a little over 109.5, so that I can verify the distance from here to this line, and then once we get that all squared away and I feel comfortable here, I'm going to weld a piece of angle iron on to here and another piece here turned opposite, so that they'll slide against each other, and I will be able to clamp it at whatever height that I want. So that's the next step, setting this up on the other side to verify the wheelbase, and then I'm going to get to welding these pieces on. Well, here you can see I'm set up with the plumb bobs on the passenger side. Not 100% center, or on the start line here. And I don't know 100% if the wheels are straight, but they're pretty straight, right on here. So I'm going to use the marks that I used when I set that mark on there. The reason I'm not 100% sure that I should go off the back of the frame is because I did extend this frame, and it's possible that it's not perfect, but I think with the adjustability of the 4-link on the rear end, we'll be able to adjust out if we're off just a little bit. But either way, I mean, you can see the wheelbase on both sides is 109.5, which is where I want to be. So the next thing, like I said earlier, I'm going to weld on a piece of angle iron here. I'm going to weld the piece on to the axle coming up. So I'll be able to adjust all the way from where it's at to where the axle is hitting the frame. I got the small angle welded to the frame, and then this longer piece is welded to the rear end. And I know that doesn't give us much strength forward and back, but I don't even know if I'm going to put this on the ground. The first thing I'm going to do once I get the other side done is I'm going to raise it to where the axle touches the frame, and I'll get it leveled. I'll tighten some clamps, and then I'll lower it. And I just want to see if it's going to get down far enough for me. I want it down on the ground. So I'm going to set up the GoPro and do a time lapse on the other side. All right, we're back at it. I've got some jack stands on the front and on the very back. We're not quite where I want to be. I want to get the frame about 5 inches off the ground, and I'm going to call that ride height. But for now, I've got to get this cross member removed, and then these leaf spring perches where the front of the leaf spring is mounted. So I'm just going to take a grinder with a cutoff wheel, and I'm going to cut these rivets. There's 1, 2, we got 3 and 4, and then there's 2 on the outside, which are going to be these. And then when I get to this cross member, I'm going to cut the bottom side, and then I'm going to cut the top side for the top portion here. So I'll come back once I've got those removed. What I'd like to do is get some templates made tonight to box in the frame here so that we'll have a place to mount the new bracket for the lower link that goes to the rear end. So that is where we are at the moment. We are ready to remove this cross member. I had to take out the rivets on, there's 2 here, 2 on that side, 2 on this bottom, and then 2 on this bottom side. Super simple. All I had to do was grind these flat with a flap disc, get a center punch the center, and then I use 4 different drill bits. It just makes it easier rather than using one large drill bit, in my opinion. So I drilled 4 different holes, and now we should just be able to tap it out. And I think we're going to just hit this direction on this side and see what happens. Easy enough. So the next step is making templates for the inside of the frame rails. In order to get the floor link in place, we have to get the frame boxed in for the bracket that is on the lower and even the upper section of the floor link. So I'm just going to clean up the inside of these frame rails. I might do some painting since I got into the POR 15 and get that at least covered up so we don't have to worry about rust. You can see here we've started on the template. Took a big piece of cardboard and set it up here. I marked the back side with a pencil on both sides, and then I also made a mark. I'm not sure if you can see it right here. Put a pencil mark right here, and then another one up here. And that way I know where I want to start and stop this. So I think this piece here that you see recessed in the frame, I think that's the piece that I want to make. So I'm going to transfer that to a piece of sheet metal that I have. I think it's 3/16. So I'm going to transfer that, and then we'll cut it and start fitting that to this. And since the other side should be mirrored, we're just going to cut 2 of them. Tell from looking at this panel, we've got both of the closeouts, is what I'm going to call them, for the frame. We've got those both cut out. Also, you can see the silver paint here in the frame rail. That is a weld through primer. Super inexpensive. It was only $35 for a regular spray can. And you can see here, did the same thing. Using a flap disc, I prepped the underside of the frame rail so that our pieces will weld in there just fine. So let's go take a look outside at the pieces. So here you can see we've got both pieces. These are the back side, the side that goes on the inside of the frame. What I'm trying to do is make sure that we don't have any rusting inside the frame. We did the weld through primer. As soon as this dries, we will start to do some welding. All right, I've skipped a little bit. You can see I've got these brackets welded in place. These are up here. You can see I closed them out with some 3/16 inch steel. These tabs welded on. I've got these brackets welded on. So I thought these upper bars had to be basically level with the lower bars. That's why I went up on top of the frame. And I know when I put the Ranchero body on, this isn't going to be in the cab area, so it's nothing that I'm going to have to worry about. And I think I just feel better that there's less of a chance that they're going to bind. So sorry for skipping without recording, but this is my first time. I was really unsure. It's taken longer than I had hoped to get to this point. But the next step is going to be putting the notch in, and you can see here that it's just sheet metal. So I'm going to go ahead and get moving on that. So once I have it up in place with some clamps, I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Well, as you can probably tell, I have skipped a little bit of recording. Part of that is because I am no expert. I am doing this as I go, trying to figure things out, and this is where I'm at. So I just wanted to show you the next step. You can tell we've got the lower and upper bars welded in place. They are final welded, at least the top ones are. The bottom ones, I'm still going to add some welds to the bottom of these brackets right here. The next step is going to be mounting the airbags for the rear, as well as a cross member across the top to hold the plate for the top mount for the airbag, as well as the shock mounts for the top portion of the shock. So you can see here I've got the bag plate placed. I think this is where I'm going to go because the shock I need to be able to mount the shock here, and then we're going to have a crossbar here, and I just want to make sure we have enough room right up beside the bag here to mount the shock. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up the axle on both sides. I'll go ahead and get these level. I've got it set at ride height. You can see I've got the 2x4s in place. So I'll put a level on these. I'll get these welded in on both sides, and then we can go on to the top portion and see what I feel is the best method. A lot of this, I'm looking things up online and then kind of deciding what to do based on the materials I have and what I think we need. So if you have any thoughts, you can put them in the comments below, but by the time you're seeing this video, I am obviously going to be past this, and I'll use your insight on a future build. We made a little bit of progress This looks like more than it really is. I just mounted the lower airbag mounts and then loosely put the airbags on. And this is a universal kit from Max Peating Rods, but I did opt for a better bag. These are Airlift Dominator 2600s, and you can see I've got the top mounts in place, and I'm trying to figure out exactly how to get this cross member. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it where it fits between the C notches. I'm going to make 2 of them, and I'm going to just tack weld one to the back side here and one to the front side on both sides, and then I'll probably use a C-clamp and raise and lower this and find the spot where it's going to work. Here's where we are. I've got the cross members or the crossbars in place. I did have these clamped in and I ran it down, and it goes all the way down to where I want it to. The next step, this was a universal kit, so I'm going to use the brackets that came with it. I'm going to cut these off here, and then I'm going to weld both sides over here and over here to make this one piece. Same over here. So that's what I'm about to do. Just going to use a cutoff wheel and cut that and get these mounted, and hopefully I can plumb it for at least temporary use, and I can make the front and the back go down, up and down. I'll come back once I've got these welded in place, and I might go ahead and do the temporary plumbing. Well, I've got the plates tack welded to the cross member. I had to adjust the cross member and get it level. It was slightly off. So now I have confirmed that this will lay on the frame. So with the weight of the vehicle actually on this frame, I'm sure it's going to have no problem going all the way down. So anyway, I'm about to start doing some finish welding. I'm going to weld these plates onto these bars. This is where we're going to end the video. Obviously you can see we've got the LS back in the frame. I'm going to show you a couple areas that we still need to focus on. Here you can see the oil pan is sitting on the ground. I have a shallow oil pan. I need to change this one out. I just need to make space in the garage quickly. So I am going to put this up on dollies, and hopefully that'll keep the oil pan off the ground. So there's that, and also, I'm not sure if you can see this, but the tie rods are hitting the frame. So I think I'm going to notch the frame and put a piece of pipe in to allow movement there, and that's going to be on both sides. So all in all, that's where we're leaving this video. Just got it ready where I can move it out of the garage. If there's anything in particular you'd like to see more focus on in my videos, let me know. I do apologize that I didn't film a lot of the fabrication. This was the first time I had ever done anything like this, so I was just trying to figure it out as I went. I'll show more in depth in later videos what we've got going on back here. I do think I'm going to need to adjust the crossbars. I think I need to bring them up a little bit. But with that being said, we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.